They open hospitals, attend state banquets, and appear on commemorative coins. But strip away the pageantry, the gold coaches, the ermine capes, the military salutes, and you're left with a question almost nobody fully answers. What do they actually own? The British royal family sits at the center of one of the most complex financial structures in the modern world. Some of their wealth is ancient, some of it is corporate, some of it is personal, protected by tax arrangements that predate living memory, and some of it, particularly in the case of one royal, has been spent faster than it ever came in. According to a 2025 analysis by financial researchers, the British royal family collective assets are estimated at around £21.3 billion, a figure that encompasses a crown estate, the two royal duchies, private estates, jewelry, and personal investment portfolios. But that headline number disguises the enormous differences between individual family members. The gap between the wealthiest working royal and the least financially secure is not just wide. It tells a story about inheritance, duty, scandal, and what it actually means to be born into a monarchy. Let's go through the family, one by one, and look at the real numbers. Every credible estimate of King Charles III's personal net worth places him comfortably into billionaire territory. The Sunday Times Rich List for 2025 put his figure at approximately £640 million. A more detailed 2023 investigation by The Guardian argued the real number, when all assets are properly counted, was closer to £1.4 billion. The difference comes down to methodology. The Sunday Times tend to focus on liquid and semi-liquid assets. The Guardian's investigation broke the picture down component by component. The Duchy of Lancaster alone was valued at £653 million, with an annual distributable income of £27.4 million in the most recent financial year. Add to that a royal jeweler collection estimated at over £400 million, real estate holdings across the UK valued at roughly £330 million, a stamp collection reportedly worth £100 million, one of the finest private philatelic collections in the world, plus racehorses, artworks, vintage vehicles, and a diversified investment portfolio, and the numbers climb rapidly. Almost all of this came from one source, his mother. When Queen Elizabeth II died on September 8, 2022, her personal estate was valued at approximately £370 million to £500 million, depending on the source. Every pound of it passed to Charles without triggering a single penny of inheritance tax. The mechanism behind this is the 1993 Memorandum of Understanding on Royal Taxation, a document that established a sovereign-to-sovereign transfer exemption on the grounds that a hereditary monarchy requires different fiscal treatment than private estates. At the standard UK inheritance tax rate of 40%, which applies to all private estates above £325,000, the exemption saved Charles an estimated £148 million to £200 million in a single transfer. Charles does voluntarily pay income tax on the personal portion of his Duchy of Lancaster revenue, a practice his office has began in 1993. But voluntarily paying some tax on some income is a different matter from the full fiscal obligations that apply to ordinary British citizens. The duchy itself, a 45,550-acre estate of land, commercial property, and financial assets spread across England and Wales, dates to the 14th century and has never been subject to normal taxation. In the 2024 to 2025 financial year, it returned a net surplus of £27.4 million directly to the monarch. Then there's a Crown Estate, a separate institution that Charles administers but does not personally own. Valued at approximately £15.6 billion, it generated over £1.1 billion in net profit in the 2024 to 2025 financial year, much of it from offshore wind farm leases in the North Sea. That profit flows to the Treasury, which in turn pays a percentage back to the royal household through the sovereign grant. For 2025 to 2026, the sovereign grant stands at £132 million, a £45 million increase over the previous year, largely justified by the ongoing £369 million renovation of Buckingham Palace, expected to finish in 2027. Charles is not the wealthiest individual in Britain. He ranked 258th on the Sunday Times Rich List. But he is the anchor of a system that generates, manages, and protects wealth on a scale few private institutions can match. Queen Camilla's personal net worth is estimated at approximately £3.5 million, roughly $5 million, a relatively modest figure by royal standards. That number does not reflect the income she shared during Charles's years as Prince of Wales, nor does it capture her current access to royal residences, staff, and travel funded through the sovereign grant. Before royal life, Camilla was already financially comfortable. Her father, Major Bruce Shand, was a successful wine merchant and Vice Lord Lieutenant of East Sussex. Her maternal family, the Cubits, built considerable wealth through 19th century property development in Belgravia, one of the most valuable postcodes in central London. Inherited money on her mother's side reportedly provided a significant personal cushion even before her first marriage. After her divorce from Andrew Parker Bowles in 1995, Camilla purchased Ray Mill House, a 6-bedroom 18th century property in Wiltshire, for approximately £850,000. That property is believed to be worth several million pounds today. She retained it even after marrying Charles, using it as a private retreat independent of official royal life. The estate's beehives produce honey sold through Fortnum and Mason, with proceeds going to charity, a detail that says something about how Camilla prefers to present herself to the public. Her personal wealth is unlikely to grow significantly on paper. The more relevant financial reality is the access she shares with one of the wealthiest men in Britain. When King Charles was formally crowned on May 6, 2023, William became Prince of Wales and inherited the Duchy of Cornwall, a single transaction that transformed his financial position more dramatically than anything else in his adult life. The Duchy of Cornwall is one of the oldest and largest private landed estates in England, founded in 1337 by King Edward III specifically to provide financial security for the heir to the throne. It now encompasses over 135,000 acres across 23 English counties. Its holdings include 67,000 acres of Dartmoor, roughly 75% of the Isles of Scilly, the Oval Cricket Ground in London, commercial farms, quarries, and an oyster fishery. Its total net asset value exceeds £1 billion. In his second full year as Duke of Cornwall, covering the 2024 to 2025 financial year, William received a distributable surplus of approximately £22.9 million from the estate. Like his father, he voluntarily pays UK income tax on this income, a practice Charles introduced in 1993. Add to this his personal inheritance from Princess Diana. Her estate was valued at £21.7 million at the time of her death in August 1997. After inheritance tax of approximately £8 million, the remaining sum was divided between William and Harry. At Diana's request, both sons were originally to receive their full shares at age 25, but her executors, her mother Frances Shand Kidd and sister Lady Sarah McCorquodale, petitioned the probate court to defer the capital until age 30. By that point in 2014, William's share had grown through investment to approximately £10 million. William also received roughly £6 million from the Queen Mother's 1994 trust fund at age 21, with a further tranche expected at 40. Combined with the Duchy of Cornwall valuation and his other personal assets, William's total estimated net worth sits at approximately $1.3 billion, making him the wealthiest working royal in Britain today, and likely one of the wealthiest people in the UK under 50. That wealth has attracted scrutiny. In 2024, report emerged that the Duchy of Cornwall had been collecting rent from Dartmoor Prison, which closed in July 2024 following dangerous radon gas readings, from state schools, NHS trusts, and charitable organizations. Leaseholders on Duchy land have paid ground rents ranging from £1,500 to £7,000 annually, while still bearing the cost of maintaining their own properties. In early 2026, William announced plans to remove the last feudal restrictions on Duchy land ownership under the 2024 Leasehold and Freehold Reform Act, a move welcomed by tenant advocates, though the Tenant Farmers Association warned that many families would still struggle to raise the capital needed to purchase freeholds. Catherine, Princess of Wales, is estimated to be worth approximately £7.5 million in her own right, around $10 million. She was not wealthy in a title sense before meeting William at the University of St. Andrews in 2001, but she was not without means. Her parents, Michael and Carol Middleton, built party pieces into a profitable mail-order party supplies business from their Berkshire home, establishing a financial foundation for the family. Catherine is also believed to benefit from a family trust arrangement, the exact value of which has never been publicly confirmed. Since joining the royal family, her access to wealth has expanded dramatically, but much of what surrounds her, the residences, the travel, the staff, flows through institutional royal funding rather than personal assets. Her own financial portfolio remains relatively contained. One asset worth noting is personal rather than financial. The sapphire and diamond engagement ring she now wears, originally gifted to Princess Diana by Prince Charles in 1981 and valued at around £300,000 at the time, is today estimated at several million pounds. It passed to Harry after Diana's death, and by Harry's own account, he offered to William when William decided to propose in 2010, saying it should belong to the future queen. In terms of personal net worth, Catherine is actually outranked by her sister, Pippa Milton, who married hedge fund manager James Matthews. Pippa is reported to have a net worth of approximately £50 million. It is one of the quieter ironies of the royal world that the woman watched by hundreds of millions of people has a smaller private fortune than her sibling. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have built something genuinely unusual. A post-royal commercial enterprise has generated most of its own wealth rather than inheriting it. Celebrity net worth estimated their combined net worth at approximately $60 million by late 2025, nearly double Harry's estimated personal worth of $20 to $25 million before he met Meghan in 2016. Harry's financial base begins with inheritance. He received approximately £10 million from Princess Diana's estate when he turned 30 in 2014, and in September 2024, on his 40th birthday, inherited approximately $8.5 million from the Queen Mother's Trust, his share of funds she established before her death in 2002. Those two inheritances gave him a solid private foundation. The commercial architecture built on top of that foundation is where the couple's story diverges from every other royal. Their Netflix deal, signed in September 2020, was widely reported as being worth up to $100 million over 5 years. Subsequent analysis, including a Variety investigation, suggested the real figure was closer to $60 to $70 million once development budgets and performance conditions were factored in. Their 6-part documentary series Harry and Meghan, released in December 2022, became the most watched documentary debut in Netflix's history, generating over 80 million viewing hours in its first 4 days. Subsequent projects, Heart of Invictus, the Polo docuseries, and Meghan's lifestyle series with Love, Meghan, reached smaller audiences. The original Netflix agreement ended in 2025 and was replaced by a project-by-project first-look arrangement. Their Spotify deal, signed in late 2020 and reported to be worth $15 to $25 million, produced one season of Meghan's podcast Archetypes, 12 episodes, before the partnership was dissolved in 2023. The split attracted significant negative attention when Spotify executive Bill Simmons publicly described the couple as grifters in a podcast appearance. Harry's publishing deal with Penguin Random House, reportedly worth around $40 million across multiple books, yielded Spare in January 2023. It sold 1.43 million copies on its publication day in the United Kingdom alone, the fastest-selling nonfiction book in UK publishing history. Their Montecito estate in California, purchased in June 2020 for $14.65 million, sits on a 9-bedroom, 19-bathroom property with guest cottages, a pool, a library, a spa, and extensive grounds. The property is estimated to have appreciated considerably since purchase. In January 2025, Harry settled a damages claim against News Group newspapers, publisher The Sun, for illegal information gathering. The settlement reportedly exceeded $12 million. It marked the end of years of litigation Harry had pursued with unusual persistence through the British courts. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, stripped of his royal titles in November 2025, is estimated to be worth between £3 million and £3.7 million. That figure, modest as it sounds, represents what remains after a financial and reputational collapse that unfolded across 2 decades. Over a 40-year career as a working royal, Andrew received approximately £13 million in public and royal household funding, according to The Guardian. Despite that, He is the least financially secure of Queen Elizabeth's immediate children. The central reason is Virginia Giuffre's civil lawsuit, filed in a U.S. federal court in August 2021. Giuffre alleged she had been trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein and sexually abused by Andrew on 3 separate occasions in 2001, when she was 17. Andrew denied all allegations. On February 15, 2022, the case was settled out of court for a figure widely reported to be between £9 million and £12 million. A February 2026 report shed further light on how the settlement was funded. Approximately £7.5 million came from Queen Elizabeth II personal funds through the Duchy of Lancaster. Roughly £2.8 million came from the estate of Prince Philip, and Charles contributed approximately £1.7 million. Andrew has not repaid these amounts. His Swiss chalet, purchased with Sarah Ferguson in 2015 for approximately £14 million, became a separate financial disaster. The couple took on a substantial mortgage and agreed to pay a residual £4 million in cash installments by 2019. They failed to do so. As interest accumulated, the outstanding debt rose to over £5 million. The previous owner successfully sued, eventually accepting approximately half what she was owed after concluding the couple lacked the resources to pay more. Andrew sold the chalet in 2022 for approximately £15 million, but after the mortgage burden, the sale generated little net return. In November 2025, following the release of new Epstein-related documents and emails that appeared to show Andrew had maintained contact with Epstein even after his 2008 conviction, King Charles formally stripped Andrew of his remaining titles and honors and required him to vacate the Royal Lodge at Windsor, where he had been living for a nominal rent. He relocated to a property on Charles's Sandringham estate in Norfolk. In February 2026, Thames Valley Police arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office, in connection with reports that Andrew had allegedly shared confidential UK government information with Epstein during his years as Britain's trade envoy. The financial number is almost beside the point. What Andrew's story illustrates is how completely personal wealth can be consumed by the legal and reputational consequences of scandal. Sarah Ferguson's estimated net worth is approximately £800,000 to £1 million. She has spoken openly and repeatedly about spending decades on the edge of financial ruin, and the public record suggests that is not an exaggeration. After her 1996 divorce from Prince Andrew, Ferguson reportedly owed Coutts, the royal family's private bank, approximately £3 million. In May 2010, the News of the World filmed Ferguson accepting a £25,000 down payment from a journalist posing as a businessman, on the understanding she would broker access to Andrew, then serving as Britain's trade envoy. She subsequently apologized on American television. In March 2011, Jeffrey Epstein paid £12,000 directly to one of Ferguson's employees to settle a debt she owed. A Panama Papers leak in April 2016 listed her name in connection with offshore financial structures. Despite all of this, she retained publishing deals, licensing income from her children's book series, and eventually in 2022, reports emerged that she had purchased a £4 million townhouse in Mayfair. Exactly how that transaction was financed was not made clear. Her story is, above all, a study in resilience of a particular kind. The ability to remain financially afloat through a combination of public identity, remaining family connections, and the fact that the British public, however critical, has never quite stopped being fascinated by her. Princess and the Princess Royal is estimated to be worth approximately £10 million. The number understates her significance within the family. Year after year, independent assessments of royal workload, measured by official engagements, overseas visits, and charitable commitments, place her near or at the top of the working family. Over her career, she has received over £16 million from taxpayers through the sovereign grant and its predecessors. Her most valuable personal asset is Gatcombe Park, a 730-acre estate in Gloucestershire that Queen Elizabeth II purchased for her as a wedding gift in 1976 when she married Captain Mark Phillips. The property is estimated today to be worth several £1 million and is a cornerstone of Anne's private wealth. She rarely generates headlines about her finances, which is itself a kind of financial strategy. Stability and consistency have protected her assets from a kind of erosion that publicity, litigation, and scandal have caused in other branches of the family. Prince Edward, now Duke of Edinburgh, is estimated to be worth between £10 million and £12 million. He and his wife Sophie have received approximately £6.5 million from a sovereign grant since becoming full-time working royals. What defines their financial biography, more than the current figures, is what happened before they settled into royal duty. Edward launched his own television production company, Arden Productions, in 1993. The company collapsed in 2002 following sustained criticism, most damagingly when it was accused of breaching a media blackout around Prince William's time at the University of St. Andrews. Sophie, meanwhile, built a career in public relations before an undercover News of the World reporter recorded her making disparaging comments about senior public figures in 2001. She shut down her firm shortly afterward. Both stepped fully into royal life in 2002. The financial trajectory since then has been steady and unspectacular, which, by the standards of this family, is probably the best outcome available. Princess Beatrice is estimated to be worth between £1 million and £4 million. Princess Eugenie sits in a similar range, with some reports placing her at approximately £3.7 million. Neither is a working royal. Both were removed from the sovereign grant list after completing university. Beatrice graduated from Goldsmiths, University of London in 2011. Both benefit from trust funds. The 1996 trust established as part of the Andrew Ferguson divorce settlement, which was valued at approximately £2.4 million for both daughters, and the Queen Mother's 1994 trust fund, which provides a further cushion. Without direct public funding, both have built careers. Beatrice works as Vice President of Partnerships and Strategy at Affinity, an AI and enterprise software company. Eugenie has worked in the contemporary art world, including a role at Hauser & Wirth, and became a director there before pursuing other ventures. Their father's deepening legal and financial difficulties have reduced one informal source of support. Andrew had previously allowed both daughters to live rent-free at the Royal Lodge and provided private financial assistance. That arrangement became increasingly untenable from 2022 onward. Added together, the British royal family's financial picture reveals something more complicated than simple wealth. The institution generates money through structures, the duchies, the sovereign grant, the inheritance exemptions that predate democratic taxation by centuries. The individuals within it range from a man worth over £1 billion to a woman worth barely £1 million, with a gap between them explained not by talent or effort, but by which side of the inheritance line they happen to land on. The family's finances are also increasingly public in ways they were not a generation ago. The rise of investigative financial journalism, the Epstein disclosures, and Harry and Meghan's decision to speak openly about money have collectively peeled away layers that royal households once kept firmly sealed. What remains, when the ceremonies are over and the cameras have left, is a set of individuals navigating an unusual intersection of ancient wealth and modern scrutiny, with very different results, depending on who they are and how they got there. Sources consulted: The Sunday Times Rich List 2025, The Guardian Investigation into Royal Wealth 2023, Duchy of Lancaster Annual Report 2024-25, Duchy of Cornwall Integrated Annual Report 2024, UK Treasury Sovereign Grant Accounts 2025-26, Parade Magazine Net Worth Analysis 2026, Celebrity Net Worth, Yahoo Finance Royal Family Wealth Analysis 2025, Now to Love/Our Media Financial Reporting 2025. All figures converted to USD at prevailing exchange rates at time of writing.